Can everybody hear us okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, let's crack on now. Let's Rory, go ahead and then use the chat if you want to request a question. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Rory.
Yeah, listen, congratulations on the result, the draw. How pleasing is it to be sitting here with, not a win to your credit, but a result and a performance to hang your hat on?
Yeah, it's a small step forward. I think coming into the game, I spoke a lot about putting some pride back into English cricket and into the Test performances, and I think the fight and the desire and the character shown today and throughout the 5 days has done that in a small way. It's obviously we go into every Test match wanting to win and to win convincingly, but from the position that we found ourselves in at certain points within this game, to be able to sit here having drawn was, at the start of today, it was always going to take a good performance, and really proud of the way the guys dug in and managed to do that.
You had a few walking wounded, obviously, and they all sort of pulled their share of the weight. But how proud in particular of the tail end, because there was a hell of a lot still to do, and I guess things must have been getting pretty hairy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time Jack stood up in that sort of situation, is it? And Brodie and Jimmy have done it at times before as well. So there was a little bit of experience for them to cling on to going into it, but still a lot of hard work had to be done there. And again, to be able to stand up to that pressure and show that grit and determination was vitally important. And I'm very proud of the way that they managed to get us to walk away with something from this game.
And just lastly from me, how many of those 3 injuries were sort of making their last contribution of the series? Do you know how many you're going to have available to you next week?
Well, I have to make some further assessments, but Josh Butler's going to have to fly home and won't take any further part in the tour. It's quite a serious injury, and for him to be able to front up and put in as he did from that moment he took that knock, shows how much he cares. Shows how much it means for him to play in this Test team, and how much it means for him to play for England. And I think a lot of the guys could see a number of players hurting physically and still putting in a huge amount, and in many ways it lifted the rest of the group, really proud of the way that they stood up at times, clearly in a lot of pain to produce for England.
Nice one. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Let's go Will Macpherson, Dean Wilson, please.
Hi, Joe. I wondered if you could give us a sense of what those guys who have got injuries went through to get on the park today and back. Did they have injections? Were they dosed up to their eyeballs? Just how, what were the practical things that happened to get them playing?
There was clearly a bit of pain relief required. I think everyone was slightly different, but again, it's still, I suppose, not just the physical element to it, but the psychological of knowing that you're going into a pressured situation, not 100%, to then still be able to perform at the level that some of the guys did was phenomenal, really. And shows a huge amount of character, as I've said. So I'm very proud of that, and it's a step forward for the team, definitely. And again, some quite difficult circumstances.
And could I just ask about the sort of team nature of that effort? With I think 8 of the batters faced more than 29 balls. Everyone kind of chipped in, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Obviously, it would have been nice if all the work was done by the top order, as you'd always want, but it doesn't. It certainly doesn't seem to fall like that. And we never make it easy for ourselves, do we? And you guys probably feel that as much as anyone watching. But we found a way to get it done today, and albeit the guys at the end there had to deal with a tricky period. It was very much a team effort, and that's all right. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought there.
All right, you answered.
Yeah, fine, thanks. Sorry, Will.
Sorry, we're just waiting for Cole to leave the room. I think he just got a bit of audio feedback. Sorry about that. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Can we go with Dean Wilson and then Andrew Ramsey, please?
Yeah, hi, Joe. Obviously, the word whitewash is not one that you want to associate with this tour, and you know, you have to, I guess, adjust your ambitions as things develop. How important was it to avoid that on your own terms and have your efforts avoid it?
Well, it's hugely important, you know, especially off the back of the previous Test match. It's probably one really dark day for English Test cricket, and it'd been very easy for us to roll over and feel sorry for ourselves. And I asked for the guys to try and put some pride back into the badge and to show how much you care about playing for England going into the game. And I think you can certainly say that was the case this week. Now, albeit we didn't win the Test match, and you know, we're a very long way behind the game, to still find a way to get a draw from where we were shows the amount of character and desire and pride that the guys feel when they pull on an England shirt. And I think that was a very important small step forward for this group, and something that we can certainly lean on going into the next game.
And can I just ask about Ben in particular? Obviously, he pulled that side, bowling those bouncers. Did you kind of worry what his impact on the game might be, and then to kind of see him deliver in 2 innings like that? How impressed were you with his efforts? It
seemed to like refocus him when it came to him to bat. It made I don't know. You could see he had that look in his eye, which you've seen a couple of times before when he's been playing Test cricket, and he looked very much engaged in what was going on. It was obviously difficult when you see one of your most influential players walk off the field as he did, clearly in a lot of pain. And you know, the rest of the seamers had to pull up more, and Jack as well had to pull up more workload, which you know you don't plan for going into the game. But there's a wholehearted effort in many respects from Ben and from the rest of the guys as well in the field. But his performance with the bat was you know, more like a Ben Stokes near his best, which is a really exciting thing to see going into the last game.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Andrew Ramsey, Scott Bailey.
Well, hi, Joe. As a captain, I guess you know that sort of declarations are always judged only in retrospect, aren't they? But did you think that, given the sort of the period you had last night, which was fairly brief, and you managed to get through, that sort of gave you a bit of extra sniff, given that chasing 350 was always going to be pretty much out of the question on that pitch?
Yeah, we'd have had to play the perfect game going into the last session to have any sort of chance of chasing that down. But especially off the back of Melbourne, for the guys to, you know, with the pressures that were on them coming into a similar sort of situation, to be able to manage it like they did, I think was impressive and really important in terms of, you know, coming here today non-down and having a full go at it. So, you know, really pleased of the way they managed to deal with that pressure and give us a great opportunity to get something from this game at the start of the day.
Let's go Scott Bailey and then Bharat Sundaresan to finish, please.
Yeah, Joe, just wondering, given the circumstances, the injuries, what you guys had to go through coming into this game off the field, COVID, all that kind of stuff, and 9's out in the end and how rare that is this the gutsiest draw you've been part of? Can you think of a more gutsy draw, do you think, in your time for England?
Hard to think at the minute. There's clearly a lot of emotion knocking around, and a big sense of pride overwhelming what is the overwhelming feeling at the moment. But yeah, it's certainly one of them, and you know, as I say, it was a really important one for this team as well.
And then Bharat to finish, please.
Thanks, Danny. Hey, Joe. Joe, I mean, Johnny spoke about a couple of days back about how you earn the right to show intent. So do you think the way Johnny batted and Zach Crawley batted today, they're almost blueprints that you can follow going forward when you face Australia in Australia?
I think you've got to have a really good understanding individually of how you want to score your runs. I think the clarity was there for those two throughout this game. They both, and like a number of them have approached things. But, you know, Zach's tempo, his rhythm, the way he managed to he was very clear about where he wanted to score his runs, and he looked very in control throughout, which again will give him a huge amount of confidence moving forward. And as for Johnny, I think you could clearly see how much it meant for him, how much it meant to him. But there's certainly a trust in his defence now, and I think the rest of his game has expanded from there. You talk about earning the right for intent. Well, that's come from him being able to trust his defence, and that's come through a lot of hard work. And similarly, a lot of character as well. Having to deal with taking a spicy one on the thumb as well.
Sorry, if I could just slip a final one. Similarly, about Jack Leach, there's always this talk of, have enough cricketers improved, after landing on a tour where you have lost. Do you think just the way Jack Leach bowled, he's coming into his own as well in international cricket?
I think it's certainly the best he's bowled since we've been here. And, I'm not using this as an excuse in any way, but with the lack of preparation and the lack of opportunity to bowl within a game, you've seen as the tour's gone on, he's certainly got better and better, the opportunities he's had to play. So it was really pleasing to see him bowl in that manner on quite an unresponsive wicket. To be able to be as influential as he was really pleasing, and I'm sure he'll take a lot of confidence forward from that.
Thanks.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Looks like we've got one there. We'll kick off with Barat.
Thanks, Cole. Hey, Patrick.
Barat. Muted for Danny. There we go.
Thanks, Cole. Hey, Patrick. You said after day 3 at the Gabba that was more challenging than day 1 when you had to take a lot of calls. So can you just put into perspective what today was like just for Captain Cummins?
I'd say firstly it was a lot of fun. Having a lot of runs on the board meant we could get pretty creative, and I always felt like we're looking for wickets as opposed to trying to save a match or anything like that. So it was a lot of fun. Probably the hardest thing to do is try and choose amongst our 5 bowlers that we have, plus Smithy and Marnus. But Phil, I was able to make quite a few calls. Some came off, some didn't. But it was good fun.
Nick Savage.
Pat, well played. Tough luck with the result, though. This is the 3rd time in 12 months that the bowlers haven't quite been able to get the job done on the 5th day of the test. Do you see that as a problem? And if so, how can the bowlers start to, look to rectify that in the coming test matches?
I think, 2 of them have been here at the SCG. I think the day 5 wicket doesn't play like a traditional broken up day 5 wicket. I think, we gave ourselves we're hoping for 110 plus overs. We thought that'd be enough, but kind of in the back of our mind, we knew it's may potentially be a bit of a grind out there. It's something we always look at. I think from this year compared to last year, I think we've made some improvements. We probably stuck at some plans a little bit longer. It's when you're that far ahead of the game, of course you want to win it. But I thought England played well. I was really proud with how everyone went. Plans we had, we stuck at it. Thought we bowled quite well. Just got close, just not close enough.
Thanks, Pat.
Andrew McGlashan. Andrew, you there, bud? He's disappeared. We might go to Mal.
Pat, there's been quite a bit of discussion, obviously, about that declaration. Can you talk us through the thinking behind the timing? Because obviously you were sort of well ahead in the game.
I think first of all, the weather played a bit of a part in this game, and basically just learned that we can't predict it at all. I wanted around about 3.5 and over. I thought the wicket was still not playing too many tricks. I thought if they batted really well, they could, 350 is pretty achievable out there. So I wanted to give us kind of enough time. I thought 110 overs is enough time. But having the luxury after the way Greeny and Usman batted to have enough runs in the bank that we could effectively attack for those whole 110 overs.
Thank you.
Mel Farrell.
Thanks, Cole. Thanks, Patrick. Just wondering if you could sort of talk us through the last part of that game, and it being the old foes of Broad and Anderson having to survive, and generally what you've made of England's batting through all those injuries, the difference you may have seen in them in this test.
I much prefer when Anderson and Broad are batting rather than bowling together. In terms of the batting, honestly, I'm probably not the right person to comment on it. I thought they held out well. I think the pitch played quite differently to the first 3 test matches. There wasn't a lot of sideways movement, a lot of swing, or even really a lot of spin for Lino. But I thought they played well. And in terms of the significance of Broad and Anderson, I honestly hadn't really thought about it. I was just pretty pumped that it was number 10, 11 out there.
Thanks.
Scott Bailey.
Yeah, Pat, just wondering your thoughts on, I know you're not a selector, you keep saying that Usman Khawaja made a point of coming in here last night and saying that he doesn't expect to play in Hobart. When a guy scores twin tons, is that really, I guess, a probability, do you think? Or do you think he sort of does enough to keep his spot? And also, on the other end of the spectrum, Jai Richardson's back next game, bowl reports. So how you sort of see that bowling attack looking, given what Scott Boland's done the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I'll preface it by saying I'm not a selector, but if someone comes out and hits twin hundreds, it's pretty hard to go past them for the week after, I think. So we'll look, we'll work through that. The selectors will work through it over the next few days, but someone's running hot, got a heap of experience like Aussie. The way he played was just fantastic. And Jai, it's a good problem to have. Mike Vanessa played in the last pink ball game as well. I think we've got 6 or 7 days. I actually haven't looked at the schedule, but I think it's 6 or 7 days. So we'll take our time. We'll see how all the bowlers pull up. Scotty was a little bit sore, so too early to probably talk about all those kind of things until we get down there and have a look at the wicket and see how everyone pulls up.
Tim Miller. Doesn't look like we've got Tim. We'll go to Ben Horn.
Okay. I know Steve got your wicket there in his second last over, but were you disappointed that they asked you to go to the spinner rather than bowling Scott there at the end?
I would like to bowl Scott, but I think it was probably the right decision. To be fair, it was pretty dark out there. Disappointed couldn't use Scotty, even Greeny. I think I told Greeny to warm up about 5 times. But just it's probably the luxury of having 5 bowlers. You can only bowl 2 at a time. It is what it is. It was pretty dark. I think they made the right call.
Mate, how did you feel? Have you ever been under the lid before in a test match? And how did you enjoy the tension, I suppose, of 8 fieldsmen around the bat?
I don't think I've ever been under a lid fielding ever. I was trying to remember whether I did it in junior cricket. It was fun. It's hard with the grill. You can't see the ball where it goes. I don't know how they do it. It was a lot of fun. The last hour or two, you're normally setting a field to try and take wickets, but stop runs. It was purely just where do we think a catch might go. So it was good fun. Loved it.
Dan Bredig.
G'day, Pat. Just a question that maybe a little bit left field here, but what's your view on, I suppose, more flexible sort of times for breaks during test match play? I know there are a few instances in this game where, you had rain when you were meant to be playing, but you also had sort of clear skies when it was meant to be lunch or tea. Like, is that something that you think could be a little bit more flexible?
It's always spoken about. It's kind of the traditions of Test cricket. I think even on day one, we gave a bit of an allowance for kind of the anthems and opening ceremony, which it was kind of sunlight there for a little while. So I don't know the answers, but I think if it's not raining and we've been sitting down all morning, let's try and play as much cricket as we can.
And I suppose does it sort of hit home a little bit in a game like this where, it does come down to just a few overs at the end of 5 days, and you kind of look back at the time that could be made up in a few ways?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose so. We lost 7 overs today, but we still had a big day. I think it was, 90 overs or so. Yeah, it's probably more those other days where you feel like you're sitting down for half the day, and because it's raining and then it's sunny for a big portion, you have big breaks. But it's been around forever. It's one of the traditions. I'd be happy if we found some more overs somehow.
Okay.
2 more to go here, guys. Rob Forsyth, and we'll finish off with Dan Cherney. Rob.
Hey, Pat. JL said after day 3 that the coming days and sort of England fighting back with development as a captain, I sort of appreciate it's quite fresh, but do you feel like you learn things? Is there anything that stands out that you do differently if given the chance?
I certainly learned a lot. I felt even from the second innings compared to the first, I felt a lot calmer, in control. I felt like we kind of managed the pace of the game, better than we might have perhaps at times in the first innings. There's a few things, I was waiting on Scotty Boland and, a few other things that we had to manage at the same time. But I felt, a lot more in control that second innings. So that was a bit of a learning, just take that extra second and take that breath at the top of the mark and speak to the bowler and have really clear plans.
And just a quick one on Busman's form, on how well he played this test. Do you see him as, he's quite a versatile batter, as someone who can bat anywhere in the order, or would you feel comfortable if he was asked to open in Hobart?
Yeah, I mean, he was, I guess that's why he was a spare batter and picked in the squad originally. Felt like he could replace any batter 1 to 6, really well. I think he's hugely versatile. Even I know he's, there's been question marks historically on him playing over in Asia, but you see how well he's played spin recently, reverse sweeping. He's just someone who's in total command of his game. And that's why you love experience. And, 2 centuries, that rarely happens in a career. Someone to come back in his first test, fantastic.
Last one, guys. Dan Cherney.
Okay, Pat. Thanks. I know you touched a bit on the declaration earlier, but just to clarify, were you willing to risk defeat to chase victory? Was that sort of what was going through your mind yesterday? Were you like, I just want to bat England out of the game first, or I need to settle the 350? But can you sort of explain that a little bit more?
No, absolutely. I don't think we needed to hand it to them on a platter, but for sure we're willing to risk, England winning. I thought round about 3.5 runs per over was similar to, I think the game was ticking along around about that rate, maybe about 3 runs per over. I thought, 100 or 110 or so overs at that rate still gave him a little bit of a cherry if a couple of batters got in.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. That looks like it for now. Just an FYI, Travis heads on his way for the embargoed press conference tomorrow. So we'll talk to you all again in a few minutes. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Cole.
Thanks.